guys, welcome back once again to the Horror with your hostess with the most, Annabelle, as always. Welcome back. So once again, we are continuing our Friday 13th franchise marathon. We are diving straight into Friday 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now this one, I know a lot of people really like to kind of crap on this one quite a bit. I get it. I know a lot of people are usually kind of griping about two things. First one up, most obvious. This movie really doesn't take place much in Manhattan. Respectfully so. I get why you guys are a little upset about that. Secondly, this one virtually has little to no blood. It has some blood, but it's very kind of truncated. It's very minimal. Yeah, I guess, you got the right to be upset about it. I get it. Especially considering the rest of these always seem to be pretty bloody and everything, pretty gory. Not necessarily gory, but quite a bit of blood. Especially too when you think to part 6 with the one girl who gets killed and they go into the room and the room is just painted with blood. And then you go to this one 2 movies later and there's almost virtually no blood. I know even the actress who played Rennie, what's her name? Jensen Dagger in the Crystal Lake Memories documentary. I know she has often said that, she felt like this was the, and I quote, the Disney version of the movie. Kind of rightfully so, but honestly, tell you the truth, you guys, I've always kind of enjoyed this one, even for, its flaws, which aren't the biggest. Okay, maybe the Manhattan part, not being in Manhattan so much, I can understand. But, at the end of the day, it's kind of a decent movie. It's, it was kind of attempting to give a little new life, trying to expand Jason's territory a little bit by taking him out of Crystal Lake and everything. I know that they did this in a later installment, which I will get to in 2 movies from now, which I feel like that kind of failed miserably. But this one, I feel like they at least did, they made a good attempt to kind of get him out of Crystal Lake and everything, even though most of the movie takes place on the ship to get to New York and everything. I kind of like that because I feel like, okay, what, is Jason just not going to do anything while he's on the boat? Is he just kind of like lay low, maybe hang out, next to like the engine until, he gets to New York? No, he's got a bunch of fresh people to kill on this boat. Hello, get some activities going on, get some killing going on and everything. So whatever, not a big deal. It would have been nice to see, at least half the movie take place in New York and everything. I know that their initial idea was to try and do a lot more in New York, but of course, for budgetary reasons, we only got about a third of the movie in New York, almost even less than that, because I know once they got to New York, a lot of those alleyways were actually shot in Vancouver, Canada, as I like to call it. But you know what? We at least got something. We at least got a little bit of New York and everything. One of the best parts, or I shouldn't say best parts, but one of my favorite moments in almost all of Friday 13th. There's other moments that I do really enjoy, but one that I really just always love seeing is when they're in New York. Jason sees the 2 kids walking and everything. They think they're safe, and then they realize, oh no, he's coming, and they start running, and he's, walking, and then boom, kicks that boombox with those gang members. I'm assuming they're gang members. And they're like, hey man, what's your deal? And, Kane Hodder, who obviously second time as being Jason, turns around. Now we don't see his face, but he lifts it up and they're just like, hey man, like, yeah, you ain't so freaking tough now, are ya? Jason should have killed those guys though. It's interesting that he didn't. But whatever, whatever. So anyway, so back to like being kind of like on the cruise ship and everything. Obviously, there's a lot of mayhem that is going on in this boat and everything. I genuinely do really enjoy this cast a lot. One of the few casts in the sequels that I really, really enjoy. I really don't have a problem with really anyone in here. I feel like everyone, even if it's a really small part, um, like JJ the guitarist, or even Wayne, her little sidekick and everything. Like even though they didn't get much screen time, I really did enjoy those two characters and everything. Um, even like the one girl who did like the cocaine and everything, like the little queen bee and everything, who got killed in the shower. I think she did a really good job at this character. I think, just the right amount of like, princess or like queen bee, socialite or social, um, popularity and everything, to being a little bit of a bitch and stuff. Just really good and everything, and like how she's always kind of like, like she knows kind of like all the guys like her, so she's always kind of like looking at them boxing and stuff, like, ugh. Kind of like knowing that all these guys want to be with her, and she's just trying to figure out, like, well, maybe I'll give him the time of the day, or like, ooh, this one's really nice. Just really, just stuff like that. She did really well. Even Kelly Hughes' character, I really like, who's her little friend and everything. She's almost like the queen bee over here. She's almost kind of like taking her under her wing. She's her little protege and everything. Fun little fact, though, too. This is Kelly Hughes, I believe, first film role. So, and she went on to be in The Scorpion King and X-Men 2 and everything. So she's had a nice little career. I know she's also in that show Orville right now. So just, made a good little like career for herself and everything. But yeah, and Jason too. Like I get Jason. I'm going back to Jason, I know. Something that I thought of was he's so damn gooey in this one. Like, did we really need all that goo? Did we need all that goo? Did we? I don't know. It always kind of seemed weird. It's almost like, they took the idea from part 7 with the dad coming out of the bridge being kind of gooey, and they're like, hey, let's put some goo on him. Really? Really? But yeah, no, this one, it's decent for what it is. I do enjoy it. Some of the things that just like I always kind of crack up with, and it's just kind of like scratches your head a little bit. But I usually try not to think too much into it, because it's a movie at the end of the day. Very beginning, where we have the two kids or whatever, they're making out and everything on the little boat and everything. They unknowingly resurrects Jason because they dropped the anchor and everything. The girl is running around the small ship and everything, and decides to like hide under the deck or something. Like, girl, you're on a lake. You could jump out and swim like 5 feet to land and like run away. Instead, you hide on the boat. One of those things is just wait to get some more body counts and everything. Not even a big deal. I usually don't sweat it that much. It's just one of those things. It's one of those, horror movie tropes that we're always like, why would you do that? They're in every movie, whatever. The other thing that I always kind of, and I know there are quite a few things in this movie, and literally in any horror movie, especially, it's always kind of like, really. But something else that I'm always kind of like is when they're in Manhattan and everything, and Rennie kind of gets kidnapped by one of the like gang members, druggies or whatever, and like they shoot her up with something, I don't know, heroin, crack, I don't know. But she just so kind of like awkwardly portrays it. Like, it almost doesn't even seem like she's affected by the drugs. Like, I've never done hard drugs. That stuff scares me. I've never done like heroin. I've never done coke. I've never done crack. I've not done any of that stuff. So I mean, I don't know what the effects would be. But I could imagine it would be more than just seeming like, I was drugged, or just, every like couple of seconds you're kind of like dragged. Like I don't really think that's how hard drugs really work. I think it messes you up a little bit more than that. I'm just saying, or maybe the adrenaline is kind of like keeping her going a little bit, warning off some of the effects of the drugs because Jason's after her and everything. I don't know. I don't know. And then there's her evil uncle Charles, who's also I guess like a principal, or no, I think he's a teacher. I think he's like the biology teacher. He's on the administration or something. He is Rennie's like legal guardian and everything because her parents aren't around or anything. I guess car accident or something. And he plays that character. What's his name? Peter Mark Richmond. A very established actor, very respected actor and everything. He did a really great job at this character. I know he was a little like about the movie, almost how like Betsy Palmer was initially with the first one. Although I don't think he really ever kind of quite owned up to this role. I know he's done interviews about it and everything, but I feel like he doesn't really have the same sort of passion as Betsy Palmer did. But whatever, okay. I mean, with the career he had and then having to do this movie, I get it. So I'm not going to bash the guy. But no, he did a really good job as being like that evil uncle and everything. And he actually tried to teach Rennie how to swim when she was younger. And something I do like about this too is by this point, if you're thinking of like the sort of fictional timeline that Friday the 13th has set up for us and everything, in this world, it kind of seems like at this point, Jason's almost more of like a myth character or like an urban legend type of character, where it's like people still kind of talk about him, but it's almost like he's not quite as threatening as he used to be, as he once was. It almost does seem like at this point, like the sequels, the previous sequels don't really seem to factor in, like especially like 7, like between like 6 and 7, 7 and 8, and so forth, like they kind of don't seem to be as connected as they once were or anything. It's definitely a little bit more of a standalone movie and everything with each one. So I do like that they did kind of have him as like a sort of like an urban legend or something, or sort of like a myth or something that people just kind of like talk about now and just kind of scare each other about and everything. I like that aspect. I do like that aspect. Something though that is just like I kind of noticed earlier when I was sort of like vaguely rewatching this is Rennie kind of kills her teacher. Her one teacher, her English teacher, I think it was, that kind of invited her to come on to this senior trip and everything. This teacher, has a lot of respect for Rennie and everything, and just understands her, what she's gone through and everything, and even says at the beginning of the movie of like, oh, you've been like the best student I've ever had and everything. Just really just has that moment, and then Rennie essentially kills her. Like I know she doesn't do it on purpose, but she essentially kills her because she sees this vision of Jason in the street when she's driving the cop car, crashes into a barricade and everything, and they all get out except the one teacher, the English teacher, is kind of like trapped in there. She can't get her belt or something off, and he essentially kills her teacher. Like, Rennie, come on! I know you're drugged up right now, but come on! Really? Really? I mean, that's another thing too, is like Rennie kind of sees some visions and stuff, but it's not quite like how it was in part 7 with the Tina character, where she would see visions and everything because of her telekinesis. This one was much more just like, it was almost like she would have like flashbacks to when she was trying to learn how to swim and her uncle pushes her over the boat and everything. She sees Jason. It's just almost like flashbacks like that. It was a little more realistic. I know it's a horror movie. It's not really supposed to be like realistic. But that's a little more realistic of having like flashbacks or like, maybe kind of having some illusions and stuff, is just because of like flashbacks to a very traumatic experience she had when she was younger. So yeah, I think that worked out a little bit better in this one. I like that. But yeah, this one, like I said, I know a lot of people don't really like this one. I know a lot of people have gripes about it for various reasons. like I said, I personally do really enjoy this franchise, even if it's kind of a little more of the as Jensen Dagger kind of had stated before about this movie, even if it's kind of like more of like the Disney version and stuff, it doesn't quite have as much blood. I think it's still really good. I think it was really attempting and kind of somewhat successfully, in some aspects, successfully try to kind of get the Jason character out of Crystal Lake. Like, I know, it's supposed to be around Crystal Lake and everything, but to be honest with you, by this point, even with like parts like 5, 6, and 7, it was kind of almost getting just very oversaturated with just being around Crystal Lake, and it's like very problematic because they're always trying to find different ways to successfully have another movie and everything. It was just getting stale. That's what it was. It was getting stale, and I know that's like supposed to be like the basis of sort of the movie where it's supposed to be kind of revolved around. I mean, it would be like Freddy Krueger being taken off Elm Street, but wait, no, they kind of did do that in the Nightmare series, so whatever. But no, it was a little refreshing for me. It was even with its flaws, like I said, it was still somewhat refreshing to see something a little different with this sequel. So, but anyway, yeah, you guys, that's my thoughts on part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, aka a cruise ship and Canada, whatever. Let me know what you guys think of this one. And once again, let me know who, so far your favorite, final girl is or final characters have been. And also too, what have some of your favorite kills been so far? I know I've not really been stating some of my favorite kills, but what are some of your favorite kills so far from the series, whether it's part 8 or from previous film? Let me know, you guys. Till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.